Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends Series Deluxe Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 Groot figure. And this one is pretty cool. He's bulky. He is Swole GROOT, as he has kind of been dubbed. He comes with a few accessories. So in the package, he has these two open hands. He also comes with a pair of fists, which is cool. And then he also has a baby Raccoon. It obviously couldn't be Rocket, right? Because that really wouldn't make sense. But he's got a little Raccoon, and then semi-spoiler for the movie, I guess at some point Groot will have wings. So he has these pieces here that come together and fit on his back. Looking at the package, you can see we have the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 movie logo. We see the digital render of the figure and the baby Rocket there. Render on the side. We get some artwork of Groot there, and you can see kind of the wings in the background. You got the Benatar back there. Looking at the back of the package, you can see Groot. He stands just under 7.5 inches. The accessories that he comes with, you can see I did get mine at GameStop for $38.99. Enough of the box. Let's get to it on the figure because he is a pretty cool one. I will admit, though, the wings don't look very good. Like, they're kind of bad looking. They just look very cheap because they're very, like, pliable, like rubber. And I think because of that, you don't get nice, like, crisp lines and details like a harder plastic would. So it just doesn't look all that great. And they're kind of big. It's just a weird concept for Groot to have wings in the first place, I think. So it's kind of odd like that. But I haven't put these together because I didn't know how easy it would be to pull them out. But out of the package, you can see it comes in two pieces. They don't have any kind of articulation to them whatsoever. You can see this backpack piece that ports into the back of Groot, and the wing. That's all already together in one piece. I think just for packaging sake, you know, they had to make it two pieces. But you just port that in, and it goes in like so. And as you can see, it looks like a giant wooden butterfly type of deal. But Groot on his back, he's got that port peg hole in the back, and then here you're just going to port that in like so, and it's perfectly keyed to fit in with the back with the wood grain of everything that he's got going there. But there we have Swole GROOT with his wings, and this is a pretty cool concept. I just think it's weird that he has wings, and I'm trying to get his feet perfectly flat so he can stand. The feet are kind of weird. The whole thing is throwing me off because he's all single jointed. So he's got single jointed knees, single jointed elbows, which kind of sucks because I'm not the biggest fan of single joints, but you know, it's not terrible. Just something to get used to with this guy. But he does look pretty cool. But let's go ahead and get in for the closer look at the head sculpt. It's done actually really nice. The issue is going to be like the character design. It's just so different from what we're used to seeing when it comes to Groot. That it's just a little bit weird looking to me. But let's go ahead and get in for a closer look. Look at all the cool details of like the wood elements of, you know, Groot's body, and how it translated into figure form, and then we'll take a look at the little baby Rocket or baby Raccoon, because it ain't Rocket, right? That wouldn't make sense. Okay, so looking at the close-up look at Groot, looking at the eyes, they look pretty good. So where we would see like whites of our eyes, we get a little bit of a light brown color in there. That looks pretty good. Get some green in some areas throughout all of his skin to kind of show some little foliage growth on there, some little greenery, as you can see on his chest, shoulders, on his wings. It's kind of sprinkled throughout the figure, but here, like on his left arm, he actually has a little bit of growth coming out of there. But that looks pretty good. If you ask me, this doesn't look exactly... I feel like his head was a lot more rounded in the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, so I don't know if it's just a character design change from the Holiday Special to Volume 3, or if just... you know, this sculpt based off of, you know, early promo artwork. That's how Groot looked. But for me, it looks a little bit different. And I can't, and I'm just strictly going off of memory on if that's how it looked in the Holiday Special. But I feel like it looks a little bit different. And, you know, we don't see a real good look in the trailer, I would say, or nothing that, like, I really paid attention to. So it just looks a little bit different for me. Looking at the wings, a couple of things, again, I had talked about how they look a little bit cheap. So you look at the definition and the detail throughout the figure, and you can see like clear lines and sharp edges, whereas the wings, it just all looks very soft and not a whole lot of detail to it. We get a little bit of brown paint added in a spot there, and then in the spot here. Not anywhere else on the wings or on the back of the wings for that matter. We just get a couple of areas with some green. So here, 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 here. And then on the front sides, you get a little bit of green there and kind of in the same areas on the other side. They don't hinge or anything, but they're there. I'm not the biggest fan of the wings. You know, they might be super badass in the movie. We don't really know yet. I'm not the biggest fan. So for me to display Groot, I'm actually going to display him without the wings because those wings take up a ton of space. So now we get in closer. Again, let's look at the details. There's a couple of different colors in here. So you get the brown base of the figure, some green in there. But then there's like a dark brown in certain areas to help bring out some of the details. So here in his chest, you can actually see a little bit there. Right there on his neck, some areas of the forearm, so like right there you get some color, right there you get some color, in the legs you get some color going on, but other than that, not a whole lot. I do want to point out something on mine, and I'm thinking it might be a QC issue, but I also don't know. I would have to take a look at promo images and other photos of people that have the Groot figure, but looking at some areas of the sculpt, I don't know if that's like an issue with the mold and the sculpting of it, because you see some like bubbles that what look like would have been air bubbles or something in there. It just doesn't really look right. And then right here on my leg, same thing. I feel like that's a QC issue, but maybe it's something in the design. I really would need to see pictures of other Groot figures to see if that's something. But to me, that just looks like there's something wrong in that it's an issue and not something where it's part of the sculpt and meant to look like that. But to me, that looks like a problem. But then at the same time, I'm looking at this left leg, and it's crazy jagged looking as far as the wood and how his growth has been. It looks all funky. So like, look at the inside, and then the inside of this leg, you could see that this one just looks crazy compared to the right leg. But not only that, is when you look at the back of the figure, look at how crazy this left leg is. Like, what is going on the back of his leg? It's just crazy how, you know, how Groot grew, I guess, in some of those areas. It just looks pretty wild to me, because on his right leg, you know, it's pretty, you know, normal looking, I guess you would say, when it comes to a live plant. So it's just kind of interesting, but lots of sculpted detail in there. Again, I need to double check on if that right there is a QC issue, and I think it is. And maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. I don't think I am, though. One thing also notice is that here his lower torso is super shiny compared to the rest of the figure. It's a little bit weird why that came out. So that looks funny, and I wish it didn't look like that. So that's kind of something just to point out as well. These shoulder pads, they can move within the shoulder piece there, so you can kind of move them around. When out of package, this one was like way back there. I'm like, why the hell is this shoulder pad way back there? But you can move it around. So those are the details of Groot. He does look pretty good. He's got large, nice, sturdy feet to hold him up, so I like that. But he's got a lot of single joints, so single knees, single elbows. But let's go ahead and see how much we can move around with those single joints. Okay, so I almost forgot, like I recorded the whole entire review and completely forgot that this thing was included with the Groot figure. So at the end of this, I'll say, oh, it's, you know, $38.99, you know, all this and that. But we get the coolest little accessory ever, a little baby Raccoon. Not Rocket Raccoon, because that wouldn't make sense. Not that this thing is all that special. It's just done in this little brown color with a little bit of white and black paint. But it's interesting why we get a baby Raccoon in the first place, because maybe the High Evolutionary is doing another like experiment on another raccoon, or continuing experiments on raccoons, or whatever might be going on. And Groot, you know, Swole GROOT like picks one up or does something. But yeah, we get a little baby raccoon. It's pretty nice. Nothing really special with it. There's obviously no articulation, but must have some kind of significance for the movie. Okay, so Groot's articulation. Let's see what we got going on here. So Groot's head is on a disc hinge, so he can look down that much, which is great. He can look up that much, which is not too shabby. Head, you get a full rotation in that head. See if we get some pivot, and not really any pivot, unfortunately. The arm, you can get the arm to go straight on out. That shoulder pad will move with the movement of the shoulder, so that works well. So you can see it goes up with it. You can do a full rotation in there if you would like. That shoulder pad can move with it, but it just kind of gets stuck in certain areas there. You do get an upper bicep swivel on this guy. Single jointed elbow, which gives us just about 90 degrees, as you can see there. There's also a little bit of a swivel at that elbow, but I guess not really a whole lot. I thought you can actually swivel it, but not really. So yeah, don't do that. So it's not like most single jointed elbows where you get a swivel. The hands swivel. The open hands have a standard horizontal hinge. Same with the fists. The same thing is going to be going on over here on the right arm. We have a diaphragm cut on this guy, so he could tilt to his left that much, which is really good. He could tilt to his right that much, which is really good. He can go back on that a little bit, as you can see there, and he can come forward a little bit as well. So not as much as you would like with an ab crunch, but he can lean forward a decent amount. You do have the swivel at that diaphragm joint. Legs go out that far apart, which is good because he's got those like hip balls there. He can kick forward that much. He can get the leg to go out as well. Leg really doesn't go back. As you can see, his butt cheeks aren't going to allow that. You have an upper thigh cut in there. Single jointed knee on Groot, so it gives you just under 90-degree bend with that knee. There is a swivel at that knee as well. You get the foot that hinges all the way down, but then you get the visible hinge in the front, which is pretty ugly to look at. A little bit of hinge up. You do have ankle pivot and peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So decent articulation. He has the ability to move around a fair amount, which is good. You know, Groot is going to be all swole and stuff, so he's not going to be like super agile or anything like that. But he can get in some decent movements. But this Groot, let's see how he looks to compare to the other Groot figures that we've gotten. Okay, so here we can see the true evolution of Groot, but technically the Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 is not the same Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Infinity War, Endgame, the Holiday Special, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Although, I guess technically this Groot did appear in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 as the planted Groot figure, as you can see here, and then this came with the evolution of Groot little pack that was first exclusive to Toys R Us. It did get a fan channel reissue at some point for like an Earth Day release kind of deal. So we have that there, but we have all our different versions of Groot looking pretty awesome. You can see Swole Groot is massive in size, but he's nowhere near as tall as the original Groot. But having them all together, it's kind of nice seeing them. And seeing kind of how Groot has changed, the different versions of Groot that we've gotten throughout the MCU. But it's pretty cool. You know, the browns aren't all exactly the same on each one, but you can kind of see the pattern when it comes to like the green color that they add in and everything. But it's just crazy to think that, you know, Teen Groot that we got here turns into Swole Groot here, but started off here, well, technically here, or just a piece broken off from here. It's all kind of wild and kind of interesting. There's technically another one of the Teen Groot figures that was released in an Infinity War 3-pack. There's the Build-A-Figure Groot of this. So there's those Groot figures in addition to. Plus, there is a comic Groot figure that uses this body but has a different head sculpt, and that's in a Guardians of the Galaxy box set that was exclusive to Entertainment Earth. So yeah, lots of Groot figures. And big change throughout the MCU. But you tell me, which version of Groot do you prefer the most when it comes to these little itty bitty guys, or the bigger, big and huge, or this would be huge, bigger, but all the different Groots. You guys let me know down in the comments below, which is your favorite Groot. Okay, so here we have the whole crew together, the Guardians of the Galaxy, including Cosmo. I don't know if really Cosmo is going to be part of the team, or if we just want to say, you know, the core Guardians, you know, as we've known them throughout 4 other films. Forgetting Infinity War and Endgame, of course. But, you know, if we're looking at just our core team of Guardians, we have them here. It would be interesting if Groot was wearing, you know, one of these jumpsuits to kind of match everybody. That would be very, very interesting to see. But, you know, of course, that's not something that's going to happen in the movie. But I think if they all had matching suits and everything, it would be very funny, very funny to see, at least. But yeah, the team looks great together. That was one thing about them is, you know, when they have the matching suits and everything, just looks really awesome seeing them really grouped together. And now it really completes it, being able to add Groot to the mix. And I'm really happy with the way they came out. The Groot figure is really cool. The head sculpt it's nice. The digital print on there and the coloring and everything looks good. It's just, I don't know. Again, I'm in my mind, I'm picturing something a little bit more rounded. And it just looks a little bit off to me, but again, that could be maybe a difference between the holiday special and volume 3, and I don't know how much time has passed between the holiday special and volume 3, but we know that Kraglin in the holiday special cannot control the arrow, but in volume 3 supposedly he can. So maybe there's been, you know, some amount of time passed, really not sure, but you know, I guess we'll find out when the movie comes, and we'll see, you know, how important these wings are to Groot. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of them. They're just very large and take up a lot of space. It's cool. The idea is cool, but you know, in the action figure, it just takes up too much space and doesn't really do anything. It might be super awesome in the movie, and I might be like, you know what, the wings are going back on. But you know, time will tell, and we'll see. Okay, so I'm just kind of messing around with Groot, and I can kind of give you my final thoughts on it. The figure is very fun. I like it. I'm not a fan of the wings. The wings add a lot of weight, and where it's just difficult to get him to pose in certain ways, because he's going to want to fall back quite a bit because of those wings, and then like you're setting them up and trying to pose them in certain ways, and then again it just like wants to fall over because of those wings. The figure itself is sturdy, but again, when you add in all the weight, it's just going to be, you know, a little bit more difficult, like to kind of balance out. But there are certain things that you could do with Groot to kind of help manage that. So just kind of be aware of that. The hands are pretty nice. They're kind of open cupped because the way, you know, he's got long fingers. So, you know, he closes his hand and it can only go so much. So it's kind of odd that they're kind of open there, but very easy to swap out. And they move around quite nicely, so you have that. But, you know, I'm happy with the Groot figure. Swole GROOT is definitely an interesting design and threw us all off, I think, the first time we had seen it. Like, oh my god, what happened with Groot? But, you know, I trust James Gunn is going to know what he's doing as long as he doesn't overdo the comedy when it comes to Drax. You know, I'll be happy with the movie. It seems to be that it's going to be very emotional. And I'm very excited for it, and I can't wait to see it. It comes out May 5th is the official release date, usually the Thursday showing May 4th. Looks like I'll be going to the Friday show. I usually go on Thursdays, but my daughter has an award show to attend, so we will not be seeing it that night. But I am excited for the movie and really can't wait. You guys let me know down in the comments below. Are you excited to see the movie? What do you think of this figure? It's a deluxe figure at the $38.99 price. It's better than the $58.99 of Cyborg Spider-Woman, better than the $55.99 of, what's his name? The Blob. And, you know, $38.99 seems to be that new deluxe price that used to be a $30 price, is now $38.99. It's a bit high, but it's better than the $60, and I think it's actually a really fun figure. I know Target's been getting it, and they're selling it for $49.99. I don't know what the hell Target's doing. Get them to price match everywhere else that's selling it for $38.99. They did a weird thing with that retro Ghost Rider, also with the motorcycle. The thing is $24.99 everywhere, and Targets are selling it for $33.99, $34.99. Even saw some stores selling it for like $41.99. Absolutely outrageous. So hopefully you guys can find it. Again, I got mine at GameStop. It's hitting GameStop now. I think it might be in stock at GameStop now. And then Target stores are getting it. I don't know anything about Walmart yet. I don't know anything about some online shops. But yeah, I'll have links in the video description below if you guys are interested. But I really want to know what you guys think of it, so let me know in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit that join button to become a channel member and be a part of the MCU Collective. And as always, thank you for watching.